You'll die. Sadly, in my movies, everyone dies.
It was September 6, 2019, in Anchorage, Alaska. Security cameras recorded 48-year-old Brian Smith and his date, 52-year-old Valerie Casler, arriving at a local shop. They looked like an ordinary couple out for the evening. But what Valerie didn't know was that Brian was a serial killer, and the body of his most recent victim was lying in the back of his truck, killed just the day before. When Brian went inside the store to buy drinks, Valerie stayed in the truck. Out of curiosity, she reached down and accidentally picked up his phone instead of hers. What she would later discover on that phone would expose one of the most disturbing serial killers Alaska had ever seen. Hours earlier, Brian had been at home drinking whiskey after work. Feeling restless, he decided to take a late-night drive around Anchorage. Behind a grocery store on Gamble Street, he spotted Valerie, who was homeless and living in a tent. It was raining that night, so when Brian offered her a ride, she agreed. They drove around for hours, talking and even stopping near the airport to watch planes take off. Around 2 a.m., Brian stopped at a gas station to use an ATM. He left Valerie alone in the truck, and that's when she dropped her phone and accidentally picked up his. Later, when Valerie returned to her tent, she realized the phone she had wasn't hers. As she looked through it, she noticed strange videos saved under a folder called Homicide Marriott Hotel Midtown Anchorage. Out of curiosity, she clicked one. What she saw shocked her. The video showed a woman being strangled in a hotel room by a man whose voice matched Brian's. She watched more clips, all of them showing women being tortured and killed. Terrified, Valerie realized the man she had just spent the night with might be a murderer. She hid in the woods for several days, scared that Brian would realize she had his phone. Finally, she gathered the courage to hand over the phone and SD card to the police. When detectives watched the videos, they were horrified. One of them recognized the killer's voice. It was Brian Smith, a man from an old investigation.
Just put your face forward, you stupid. Do people have to be taught how to die these days? After 112,000 years of evolution, we haven't learned to die yet. Huh? I don't have time for you. To carry your sweaty ass down to a car and go dump you somewhere, huh?
Soon after, human remains had been found near mile 108 on the Seward Highway, and DNA confirmed they belonged to 30-year-old Kathleen Jo Henry. Investigators now had a suspect and solid evidence linking him to the murder. The FBI joined the case. They discovered Brian's phone had been near the area where Kathleen's remains were found. At the same time, the video was recorded in his truck. The timestamps matched perfectly. Detectives now had enough proof to arrest him. But Brian was out of state with his wife in Washington, D.C. Officers waited at the airport, and as soon as his plane landed back in Alaska, they arrested him. At the police station, detectives began questioning Brian. At first, he was calm and polite, thinking the issue was about a previous break-in when his truck window had been smashed. He mentioned that a GoPro camera had been stolen during that incident. Detectives used that story to bring up the SD card Valerie had handed over.
The images led me to you. There was images on there that led me to you, and for multiple reasons. The truck.
They showed Brian the memory card and said it contained disturbing footage. He acted confused, saying he only used his camera for outdoor trips and hobby videos. When detectives showed him photos of his truck, and the hotel where the murder happened. He admitted renting a room and meeting a woman, but claimed he didn't know her. Then the detectives revealed photos of Kathleen Henry, the same woman seen in the video. Brian denied knowing her. He tried to say that many people had similar shoes and that the feet seen in the photos weren't his, even though they matched perfectly. The detectives remained calm but pressed harder, explaining that the SD card contained multiple videos, all showing him torturing and killing women. They even said his distinct accent could be heard clearly in the recordings. Brian looked nervous. When the detectives described how the killer's voice said, "You live, you die. Sadly, in my movies, everyone dies," he tried to claim he didn't remember anything. He said maybe someone had planted the videos, or that he was in a weakened state of mind. The detectives didn't believe him. They had his voice, his truck, the hotel booking, and GPS data, all connecting him to the crime. They continued questioning him about why his phone had been tracked near the Seward Highway, where Kathleen's remains were dumped. At first, he insisted he didn't know. Then, realizing he couldn't lie his way out, he changed his story. He said one day he had discovered something in the back of his truck, a strange object wrapped under a tarp, and panicked. He claimed he thought it might be an animal or mannequin and decided to get rid of it. Detectives pointed out that his excuse didn't make sense. The same SD card with the murder footage also contained pictures of that body in the back of his truck at the dump site. As more evidence was presented, Brian's story kept changing. He said he was scared, that no one would believe him, and that maybe someone else had put the body there. Detectives told him his DNA, photos, and phone records proved otherwise. Eventually, he admitted to taking the body out of his truck and dumping it, though he continued denying he had killed her. When detectives mentioned the violent videos, Brian said he didn't remember filming them. Yet he admitted that the voice in the footage sounded exactly like his. He even recognized his own shoes and truck. Still, he kept claiming he had no memory of the murders.
I just cannot understand why I would do something like this. And that's what your question is. Why would I do that?
I mean, we know you did it. You know you did it. We're just looking for, and there may not be a why that you think is reasonable, right?
Yeah.
Then, investigators confronted him about his internet search history, which showed that during a recent trip, he had Googled how to make a deathbed confession to police. Brian denied it again, saying he had never searched for that. But the evidence was right there. Eventually, detectives decided to show him clips from the footage. As the videos played, Brian appeared shaken. He whispered, "That's my hand. She's dying." He seemed both horrified and fascinated by what he saw. Yet even then, he tried to shift blame, saying that maybe it was his alter ego, a different personality he called Bradley. He said Bradley was the part of him who posted cruel or racist jokes online, but detectives didn't buy it. To them, Brian Smith was a sociopath who led a double life, a normal-looking man with a wife, job, and hobbies like flying drones and shooting videos. But underneath that calm image was someone who enjoyed killing. When the interview neared its end, detectives asked if he had cleaned his truck after the murder. Brian admitted that he had cut out a blood-stained piece of carpet and thrown it away, then sprayed bleach in the back to kill germs. That small confession was enough to confirm what police already suspected. He was trying to destroy evidence. As detectives wrapped up the interrogation and prepared formal charges, Brian suddenly asked if they were in a hurry. When they said no, he dropped a shocking confession. He said there had been another killing, possibly years earlier. According to him, one night his wife was away, and he picked up a very drunk homeless woman to offer her food and a place to rest. He claimed she smelled bad and refused to take a shower, even when he told her to. Angry and drunk, he said he went to his garage, got his pistol, and shot her while she sat on the couch. He then dumped her body on a road near a power plant. This confession left detectives speechless. From denying any involvement to suddenly admitting another murder, Brian had exposed the full extent of his darkness. The investigation soon linked him to multiple unsolved cases involving missing women in Alaska. Brian Stephen Smith, who once appeared like a quiet man living a normal life, turned out to be one of Alaska's most chilling serial killers. A man who recorded his own crimes, spoke proudly over his victims' final breaths, and pretended he couldn't remember any of it afterward. That's all for the video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more such videos.